The name of the book is The Personal History of Rachel Dupree, and it is the story of the Duprees who live in the South Dakota Badlands, and they're ranchers, and times are hard, and they're all making decisions about their future and what they're going to do. Will they stay, or will they just tough it out? So that's the essence of the story. Chapter 1, The Badlands. I still see her, our Liz, sitting on a plank dangling over that well. She held on to the rope that hung from the pulley, her bare feet pressed together so tight that the points on her ankle bones were nearly white. She was 6. She had on her brother's cast-off pants, and earlier, when I'd given them to her, she'd asked if wearing pants made her a boy. I told her we'd wait and see, and that had made her giggle. The plank Liz sat on swayed and twisted in a wind that blew stinging grit. Her bandana covered her nose and mouth. The rope around her waist was knotted to the one that held the plank. Isaac, my husband, called it a harness. He said it'd keep her from falling off. "We're right here," I said to her. "Daddy's got you." She looked at me, her coppery face frozen up with fear. The wind gusted and Liz flinched, her eyes slits. Isaac and our oldest girl, Mary, stood side by side as they gripped the well handle. They dug in their legs and pushed the handle up. The rope jerked. Liz dropped a handful of inches. She sucked in some air and then let out a sharp, piercing cry. My knees buckled, but I steadied myself against the well. "You're our brave girl," I called as she sank into it, her eyes closed. The sunlight caught the top of her head. Her brown braids, tied up with scrap rags, went rusty red. Her shoulders shook. She made a gurgling sound, and then she was gone. I wasn't one for calling on Jesus and asking for favors, but that day I did. Merciful Jesus, sweet merciful Jesus, be in this well with my child. Isaac and Mary held on to the well handle, turning it, keeping it steady as their neck and arm muscles bunched and shook. John, our 10-year-old son, did what I couldn't bring myself to do. He leaned over the top of the well and watched Liz. Above him, hanging on a second pulley, a makeshift one that Isaac had put up that morning, was a bucket. 4 others were on the ground by the base of the well. I coughed and spit out some dust. I tightened the knot in the back of my handkerchief and then pulled my bandana back up to cover my mouth and nose. I'd pushed it down earlier. I wanted Liz to have a good look at my face. I didn't want her thinking her mama was hiding behind a ragged piece of cloth. Hold her hand, sweet Jesus. Hold her tight. Yesterday, the water pump by the house blew nothing but air. Later, Isaac tried the well at the barn. The bucket came up empty, but the bottom was wet. When I saw Isaac knotting a plank to the well rope, my blood ran cold. "Not that," I told him, "not that." "Have to," he said. "But the White River's still running, can't you? It's down to a trickle." I looked at him. "Liz," he said as if I had asked. "Lord, she'll be all right. You could drop her." "I won't. Don't do this thing." Muscles pulled around his mouth. "I have to." "No," I said, "no." But there was nothing behind my words, and Isaac knew it.